you hear me? Morning.
Good morning, Johan. How are you?
Well, and yourself?
Good, thank you.
Okay, are we there? Sorry.
We're here. Hi, Safisa.
How's it, Johan?
Well, and yourself?
Very good, thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
Morning. Good morning to everyone who's joined. We're just waiting for a few stragglers to join. We'll give it another minute or two, and then we'll start the proceedings. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I think we should get going. Thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Johan Koster. I'm the CEO of the Marketing Research Foundation. And we're very excited and grateful for the opportunity to share with you the MAPS results for the first 6 months of data collection today. Before we get down to the serious stuff, though, just a quick rundown of the program. Firstly, I'm going to hand over to Marie Rousseau, who's the project lead for MAPS. She's also our in-house guru, and she'll give you a brief overview of the MAPS research. Sifiso Falala will then follow, the CEO of Plus94, to make a few opening remarks and to introduce Plus94 and the research. After then we get to what you're all here for. Nicola Beard, who's the project lead and analyst with Plus94, will then present the MAPS results. Unfortunately, we simply do not have enough time for a Q&A session afterwards. We've got quite a lot to get through today, so we hope you understand. But you're more than welcome to share any comments or questions you want with us afterwards. We'll share our contact details with you. So firstly, just from my side, some background on the Marketing Research Foundation. The Marketing Research Foundation is a non-profit organization, and it's controlled by marketers and agencies. The MRF and MAPS is independent of any commercial interest. We are neutral, transparent, and the research is managed by its subscribers, the marketers, and agencies. MAPS was born out of the mandate and the vision to establish research that provides the most comprehensive and reliable national consumer profile that must improve your effectiveness and the return on investment of your advertising. So a few years back, after a comprehensive tender process, our research partner Plus94 were appointed to take on the massive task of conducting this research and delivering the data. Today, we're very excited about, and it's the culmination of many years of dedication, hard work, and a tremendous effort by Plus94. We've now completed the first wave of fieldwork, which is half the full fieldwork period and covers the period July to December 2020. It consists of over 10,000 face-to-face interviews and over 5,000 leave-behind branded diaries. However, fieldwork continues. It's a continuous process, and we will complete the data collection for the next quarter at the end of March, which is in a week or so. That data will then be processed, analyzed, scrutinized, and added to the 6-month data set and hopefully released towards the end of June. Thereafter, the process repeats with continuous quarterly updates of the MAPS research. In October, which will be a big release, the first full set of 12-month data collected from over 20,000 face-to-face interviews and 10,000 leave-behind branded diaries. This will cover the full 12-month period of July 2020 to June 2021, and will be released around October this year. So the purpose of today is to introduce MAPS to the marketing, advertising, and media industries. And we're not presenting an in-depth analysis of every facet and category of MAPS. This is really just a sneak peek for you to get a sense of what MAPS is all about and what it offers. And we're very excited to share that with you today. So I think that's it from me. Without much further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Marie Rousseau, our project lead, to give you a brief overview of the MAPS research. Thanks, Marie.
Thank you very much. Good day, everybody, and welcome to possibly your first view of what MAPS is. Let me share my screen there. Okay. I hope you can, Johan, can you see?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, guys, MAPS. Let's have a look what it has in it. There we go. Before I start, I'd like to give a special thanks to the MASA board for spearheading MAPS into the marketing industry, the MRF board for their vision and support of the project, and our small team, Greg Garden for the inroads made into the marketing industry, the MRF team for their dedication and perseverance, the Plus94 team for their dedication and sheer hard work to make this survey the awesome insights tool it is. Our subscriber base, who were visionaries, believed in the project, and have supported us to make MAPS a reality. Everyone who had input into the questionnaire, and there are very, very many that have had input. I am sorry I cannot mention you by name, but you know who you are. Thank you very much. So what is MAPS? MAPS is the Marketing All Product Survey. It acts as the foundation for MAPS. We cleaned it up, modernized it, and we put a focus on the consumer. Developed through collaborative input, we used a mixed methodologies to streamline the data collection and processing, and new technologies were used to enhance the measurement of brands. So the content is very much the same as AMPS was. We've done quite a bit of tweaking. We've obviously updated it with the product category subscribers, and we've added a whole bank of consumer behavior questions and questions that have never been in AMPS before. So let's have a look. What is new in MAPS? What's new? And this is just a very small taste of new in MAPS. Brands are now measured as full color pack shots. It's consumer-centric behavior is measured. Time spent on activities is measured. Average expenditure is measured. In the retail side, we now measure liquor outlets, pharmacies. Appliances are measured by brand. brand loyalty, shopping patterns, and malls visited. New on the home front, maintenance spend has been added, hardware spend has been added, and the movement of population by province and size of home. I'm sure many of you will remember that in about 2015, we had this huge movement of population out of the Eastern Cape and out of the Free State, and we could never peg exactly what had happened and who went where. That is why we've added the question of movement of household in the past 12 months. Behavior, what's new here? Time spent on activities. So we can measure how time poor people actually are. Monthly expenses, annual expenses, and decision makings, which is the process of how they make decisions, where they get the information from, who do they rely on to give them information. Enhancements to maps, all appliances of all sizes are now being measured by brand. Home decor, we've broadened this category. Clothing has also been broadened with additional items and purchasing behavior. Financial, we updated questions and stock files are now measured. Behavior, there's multi-platform decision-making and time spent on activities. And geocoding. Geocoding, we're very, very excited about geocoding. So it is now going to be available to suburb level. And how is that going to look? This is a very one-dimensional geocoding map. So what you are looking at here is you are looking at circles of colored dots. Those circles are where the interviews took place. And the colored dots are the age groups of the people that have been interviewed. This is very one-dimensional. However, I do need to mention that we use this technique to check our fieldwork and to check with the results that we have received in the fieldwork. So for instance, if you look at the 15-year-old to 25 years, Florida has the highest incidence of that. And it gives you a very good idea if you are looking at, as a retailer, where your clients are. This is very one-dimensional. So let me show you what we can do to make it multi-dimensional. This is data layering. So what we're doing is we're looking at Pick n Pay shoppers who do or don't do their bulk shopping at Pick n Pay. And you will notice there's little blue shopping carts there. Those are the outlets. So you can now plan and plot your outlets and your surrounding shoppers, whether they shop for big bulk shopping, whether they do the top-ups, or whether they don't do any bulk shopping at all, as Florida doesn't do bulk shopping. They seem to just do small shops to pick up. So access to maps is in 2 easy steps. Advertisers become subscribers to maps. The subscribers then authorize access to maps for internal users and their agencies. As this is a subscriber-based survey, the subscribers have control over who has access on their behalf, and we control it because it is a subscriber-based survey. Accessing the data, the data has already been released to subscribers, agencies. Authorization for agency access will go through to the various software providers after this presentation. There is a general release, and that is a release of the demographics and segmentation, which is available to all users. So that's at no cost. The following software providers do have the data set, which is Clear Decisions, 80/20, InfoTool, Softcopy, and Telmar. If you need any more information, please feel free to contact us on mrf@mrfsa.coza. Our website is mrfsa.org.za. We will be putting this presentation as well as the next presentation and the recording of the full session onto the website. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Marie. I'm going to hand over to Sifiso to do a brief introduction of Plus 94 and the research that has been done. Thanks, Sifiso.
Thank you very much, Johan, and colleagues. Welcome to this MAPS presentation, which is specifically designed for you. I'd like to mention that the guiding and overriding theme, as far as MAPS is concerned, is collaboration. We have learned over the past 6 years what it means to not have a collaborative effort with regards to the collection of data on a large scale, which is meaningful for decision making and which enables decision makers to operate in an objective rather than subjective way. As far as that is concerned, I'd like to quote Ken Blanchard, who said that none of us is as smart as all of us. And I've learned through working with this group that it's very important to work within the confines of a collaborative effort. In the past, South Africa has set a standard for the globe, and certainly for the continent with regards to organized currency, media measurement, and studies to understand consumers. And our model has been replicated in many parts of the continent and parts of the Far East. It's admirable. And today, as I speak to you, we are at a perfect moment which represents a collision between the past, the present, and the future. We are very close to celebrating, if one can call it that, 365 days of the coronavirus pandemic. And as we reflect on it, the past then appears to have been carefree, lackadaisical, without any controls. And the present, it would seem we are asphyxiated, we are handcuffed, and we can't really do what we need to do. And we are reflecting on a future that is ever more uncertain. And with that having been said, the need for collaboration is even greater through our efforts to put forward a research consortium or agreement that will allow us to understand the length and breadth of the market in a way that will leverage business. Ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic appeared to bring everything to a halt. The lockdowns appeared to bring everything to a halt. But we've learned through doing this research that the world did not stop, that deals did not stop, that business did not stop, and that business and deals are not going to stop going into the future. We need your ideas as part of a collaborative team effort going forward in order to ensure that we have the best research that we can put forward. We are not going to argue that our research is the most accurate, but what we can argue is that we have taken all precautions and all measures to ensure that it is presentable to you and the globe of marketers, of researchers, of media owners, of advertisers, of agencies, and of everybody in the value chain. So with that, we hope that you can work with us, and I'd like you to sit back and enjoy the presentation, the short presentation that we have prepared for you. I'll ask my colleague, who's a senior researcher, Nicola Bay, to come forward and deliver what we have for you. Thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you. Nicola.
Good morning, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Nicola, and I'm one of the project managers from Plus94, who's been working exclusively on the MAPS project. So I'm going to kick right off. I know that we don't have a lot of time. So this presentation is going to be based on our first wave of research, which was conducted under the hard lockdown levels from July to December. Just before we kick off, just some important info. As I mentioned, that this presentation is based on the first wave of research, which is a period of 6 months and the culmination of 2 cycles. Firstly, just a brief data disclaimer. As I mentioned, all of this data was collected under the national alert levels. And as such, this does have an impact on the data we've collected. So for this wave, we had a sample of 10,000 face-to-face interviews and 5,000 self-completion questionnaires. As our sample becomes larger, we plan to have an annual sample of 20,000. The data will become more stable and will allow for trending analyses, period on period comparisons. Secondly, as our fieldwork was started in July of last year, this data was all gathered under some form of a national lockdown, and this will have an effect on consumption and behavior patterns of South Africans. And we just need to make sure that this data is prefaced as such. Here are some of the various categories that could have been affected by our national alert levels, amongst others. So media consumption, looking at newspapers, magazines, television, radio, and social media. Activities outside of the home, transport, mall and cinema visits. Naturally, household and personal income was affected. And then retail purchases, both the purchases and the behavior behind those purchases could have been affected. Groceries, toiletries, of course, liquor, cosmetics, and appliances. Here you can see a timeline of the fieldwork processes for our first wave, and I've correlated those with the various national alert levels. Each level has its own restrictions, whether it be no alcohol sales or a travel ban that could have affected the data collected under that period. Research universe and methodology. Our universe consisted of those 15 years and above, both male and females, all racial groups, and nationally, all 9 provinces. We had a target of 10,002 face-to-face interviews and 5,000 diaries. We slightly surpassed that. The 2 research instruments were the face-to-face interview and the leave behind questionnaire. On average, our interview length was between 45 and 60 minutes, and respondents were given between 3 to 5 days to complete the diary. MAPS was designed to have a disproportionate sample. In each dip, the Plus 94 research field workers visited 2009 enumeration areas, or EAs, that were specially chosen to represent our population. Within each EA, we performed 8 interviews at pre-identified points. Once we had collated all of the data, we needed to fuse the diary or the self-completion data to the face-to-face data. So for the approximate 5,000 respondents that did not complete the diary, we integrated the 2 research instruments using several hooks. These hooks included demographic as well as behavioral variables that can be seen in the graphic. A quick health check on the study. We use substitutions and backchecks as a vital part to assess the health of such a study. Overall, the household substitution rate for this wave of MAPS was 14%. And here I just listed a few reasons why we would have had to substitute a pre-identified household. Some people may have refused to participate. Perhaps the house was inaccessible. If nobody is home after we return twice, then we're forced to substitute. And at times we're forced to substitute an entire EA. Regarding the back checks, each interviewer had 25% of their work back checked to make sure that we could provide you with the highest quality research. This is above the industry standard of 15%. When we're forced to substitute a household or an EA, there are various steps that we follow, and these are very strict procedures to ensure that we substitute apples for apples. In each EA, we are provided with 12 dwelling points to visit. We only visit the first 8, and this gives us 4 additional households that we can visit should we be forced to substitute one. We'll only substitute for very specific reasons that I mentioned before, such as, with an EA, if we're denied access to a gated community or gated residence, then we are forced to substitute, but we make sure that we would substitute a gated community for another gated community. We fully recognize the impact of every single replacement on the study, and therefore we ensure that all substitutions are replaced with one that meets the same criteria. Every substitution is authorized by a field supervisor or project manager to ensure quality and accuracy. Here we have the dwellings visited, and this is a geographic spread of all our visiting points for wave 1. And here you can see a really nice spread that kind of meets the geographic spread of South Africa's population. I'm just going to briefly mention a few field quality controls that we have to maintain our quality and accuracy. Quality control is a vital component of every step of the research process. So for our self-completion questionnaires or our diaries, we usually give 3 days for collection, 3 to 5 days, but exceptions are made when respondents request more time, or perhaps they're not home at the time we've set for collection. So our first step is to ensure a quality diary is to teach the respondent how to fill in the diary. This is quite a large sort of document, and we've got several demonstration pages which can be used to teach the respondent how to fill it in. Upon collection, the diary is checked for completeness, as well as we have flagged certain areas that could be complicated or could pose problems. So upon collection, we make sure that those specific pages are also collected. The diaries are then couriered to the office, where they are checked by a team of interviewers that are dedicated and trained for this task. They are then submitted for verification and capturing. And then they are sent to head office, where they are submitted to our data processing department. And then lastly, once all the data has been captured, it is shared with the project management team for final quality controls. Now delving into the data, we're going to be looking closely at several demographics, and we've separated each into weighted and unweighted data. And this is just to give you an idea that how confident we are with regards to our weighting and our quality of data. So on the left, we have the area distribution, where you can see the focus has been on metro areas followed by urban areas. And then on the right, we have a map of South Africa that displays the distribution of interviews across the 9 provinces. Here we have the average number of households in South Africa being 17.2 million, and the average number of people per household is 3.6. Looking at age, the average age of our respondents was 38 years old. Remember, we interviewed anyone above 15 years of age. And the data on the left has been weighted up to population, and the sample, therefore the sample is the population base of 42 million, while the data on the right is the sample of interviews for wave 1, 10,024. Moving on to gender, we have the weighted data. There are slightly more females than males at 52% versus 48%. Personal income. MAPS data determined that 10% of South Africans currently do not have a personal income, while 21% earn less than R1,000 per month. For household income, the highest proportion received less than R5,000 a month, and only 3% above 60,000. Here are the weighted and unweighted data demographics for race. For the language spoken most often, Zulu came out first, followed by English. Marital status, we have a 65% portion of singles. Employment status, we found that 25% are unemployed, 10% classify themselves as not working, and 22% working full-time. Looking now at the highest level of education achieved, 3% have no schooling, 6% some primary school, 32% matric completed, and 2% with an undergraduate degree. Looking closely at dependents, 48% of respondents have dependents who are their own children, while 19% have dependents who are not their own children. And you can see the age range for each. In total, 55% of respondents have dependents. Segmentation. Delving into segmentation, let's start with LSM. Here we have the latest data from MAPS, which is 2020 LSM segments, and this has been contrasted on the right with the PAMS 2019 data. Here is the same for the SEM segmentation. On the left is the MAPS 2020 data, and on the right is the PAMS 2019 SEM segments. Home, access to basic amenities. The type of dwelling. Here you can see the majority classify themselves as living in a house, cluster house, or townhouse, of which 45% is metro-based. 95% of respondents have electricity in the home, while 61% have tap water in their homes, and 6% have no access to tap water. 34% of respondents have access to hot running water from a geyser, where 3% have no access to a toilet. Media population penetration. Here we took the population base of 42 million and looked at the penetration of various forms of media. So in the past 3 months, 48% have read a newspaper, 24% have read a magazine, 24% have read a store magazine, 79% have watched television, 73% have listened to the radio. When we look at cinema, we use a past 6 months timeline where there's a 3% penetration for cinema. Looking closely at social media in the past 4 weeks, we have a 50% penetration when we include WhatsApp as a social media platform. However, when we exclude social WhatsApp, we've got a 42% penetration. I also just want to point out that we've only highlighted certain timelines here, but the data does allow you to look at various timelines ranging from 3 months to yesterday. As we delve deeper into media, let's start with traditional media. 48% of respondents have read newspapers in the last 3 months. I think unsurprisingly, Daily Sun continues to be the newspaper with the highest readership. We then asked respondents about their preference for accessing such content. 87% said that they had accessed newspapers using a traditional hard copy format, while 17% had accessed the data on their cell phone. Looking at newspaper inserts, 76% said that they had read a newspaper insert in the past 3 months, of which 55% found the information very important when determining their shopping list. 47% said that they would prefer to find this information in an online format. Top 3 magazines read. 24% of respondents had read magazines in the past 3 months, where Drum came out top with the highest readership. 89% of magazine readers had accessed magazines in the hard copy format. Store magazines from the past 3 months, Ackermans and Fresh Living from Pick n Pay had the highest readership, followed by Jet Club. And again, you can see that the majority preferred hard copy formats. Continuing with traditional media, let's move on to television. The highest proportion of respondents had a DSTV subscription service, contrasted with 46% of people that had no access or no subscription to a satellite service. Personal TV viewing profiles. Here we've overlaid weekday, Saturday and Sunday viewing times, and we can see a decided peak for weekday viewing between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. Weekend viewing reaches its highest between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Looking at specific channels viewed, we can start with DSTV. The most popular channel using a DSTV service was SABC 1, followed by E. The most viewed free-to-air channels. Here we found that of 23% of respondents had viewed a free-to-air channel in the past 4 weeks, and the most popular was SABC 1. Looking at OpenView, they have a 7% penetration rate of those consuming OpenView channels in the past 4 weeks. E was the most viewed channel, followed by SABC 1. Moving on to cinema visits. This is an area that was heavily hit with closures during the initial lockdown. And we can see that 3% of respondents indicated that they had watched a movie at the cinema in the past 6 months. Breaking that data down further, we can see that the average number of people on an outing to the cinema was 3, and the average spend was 317 Rand. Moving on to radio. For radio reach, we determined that there is a 73% monthly penetration, 70% weekly penetration, and a 57% daily. Here we have the top radio stations listened to in the past 4 weeks. Using regular radio listeners as a sample base, here are the most popular community radio stations. Access to out-of-home advertising. 72% of respondents indicated that they had left their home to go somewhere in the past 7 days. From those people, the most popular method of transport was walking, followed by a minibus taxi, and then a car. You can see for each method of transport, the corresponding viewership of billboards on the side of the road. Delving into internet behavior, here are the top 5 internet activities for those who said that they have internet access. We asked, when last, apart from today, did you do any of these internet activities on the internet? 85% had visited a social media site, including WhatsApp, 72% excluding WhatsApp. 46% had used a video conferencing service, such as the one we're using right now, and 27% had used email. Top 5 social media sites visited. I think unsurprisingly, the most popular were WhatsApp, followed by Facebook. Here's an overview of the most popular brands of cell phones in South Africa. Samsung was the most popular mobile device with 20% penetration. And iPhone penetration sits at 2%. Additionally, MAPS determined that South Africans have a 95% cell phone access rate, where the average number of cell phones per individual is 1.1. Looking at those who own or use a cell phone, here we've displayed the most popular mobile networks. Vodacom has a 40% penetration, and MTN comes in second with 37%. Entertainment in the household. We asked respondents, which of the following did they personally have access to? And here we've displayed the gadgets that are most popular within South African homes. There's a tablet penetration of 10%. At the bottom, we can see that digital home assistants, such as Siri and Alexi, has a 2% penetration, and an e-reader with 1%. I would just like to point out that this data or this graphic does exclude cell phones, because we've covered that on a previous slide. Financial services. The top 5 primary banks. Here we're looking at a 45% population of South Africa, which are banked, and Capitec has the largest market share, followed by the traditional Big Four banks. These are the most popular financial services used amongst the banked population, where traditional savings account comes out tops. We also asked respondents who had accessed or used the online banking service within the past 4 weeks, where 37% indicated yes. Short-term insurance usage, 4% of the population have a short-term insurance policy. Of those that indicated that they have a short-term insurance policy, here we've displayed the top 10 providers. OUTsurance has the largest market share, followed by Clientele and then Santam. This is a new addition to the MAP study where we've looked at respondents who participate or belong to a stokvel. 10% belong to a stokvel, where the majority only belong to one. Automotive, motor vehicles per household. 33% of households in South Africa indicated that they have a motor vehicle, of which 25% own one. The top car brand driven, the most popular make of vehicle driven in South Africa was Toyota, followed by VW and then Ford. Looking at retail, household purchasing behavior, we asked respondents who was responsible for the day-to-day purchases of the household. 37% said that they were personally responsible for the purchases, and 27% said that they shared that responsibility with another member of the household. We then asked about the frequency of purchases and found that the most popular method of grocery shopping was bulk shopping monthly with fill-ups. Top food and grocery retailers. Shoprite has the largest market share, followed by Spar and then Pick n Pay. Here we're looking at the top liquor stores, which is a new addition. For those respondents older than 18 that had indicated that they had purchased liquor recently, we found the following market share. Tops came out with the largest market share, followed by the liquor shop from Shoprite. Moving on to clothing and shoes. We looked at clothing purchases within the past 3 months. 52% said that they had not purchased any items of clothing. For those that had purchased, children's outer items were the most popular item bought, with 20%. Clothing purchases, the top stores, we asked respondents where they had made their clothing purchases in that period. The highest proportion of women's purchases were made at Mr. Price, the same with men's clothing. For children, the majority had bought clothing at Ackermans, followed by Pep. Looking at malls, here we have the top 3 malls visited per province in the past 4 weeks. In Gauteng, the most popular mall visited was Mapanya. In KZN, it was Gateway. And for the Western Cape, it was Liberty Promenade. Cosmetics. Looking at cosmetics, 52% of respondents said that they had purchased cosmetics. And for those, we looked at where did they usually make these purchases. The most popular place was a health or beauty store, such as Clicks or Dis-Chem, followed by a supermarket, and a small percentage had purchased online. Groceries. Here we're looking at product penetration, and this is something new that we've added. Here you can see that in the past 4 weeks, coffee tea creamer has a 70% purchase penetration, Long Life Milk has a 61% purchase penetration, and this is compared to fresh milk in the past 6 days with 65%. The preferred margarine or butter purchase was in a brick over a tub. Looking at basics or staple foods that people have in their homes, rice has an 88% penetration in the past 4 weeks. Bread, also 88% in the past 7 days. We can also break down sugar purchases and see that brown sugar has a 64% penetration versus white sugar with 58%. Alcohol, we can see that in the past 7 days, 23% had purchased beer, 20% had purchased light beer, and 6% had purchased alcohol-free beer. Wine in bottles had a 13% penetration, compared with wine in a box with 17%. Looking at toiletries, here we can see that toothpaste has a 93% penetration, roll-on deodorant 87% versus aerosol deodorant with 61%. Behavior. Delving into fast food, 35% of South Africans said that they purchased fast foods at least once a month, where the majority of purchases are made from where the purchases are ordered at the counter and then leave. And this is contrasted with 7% of people who use a delivery service. Brand loyalty. We asked respondents a series of questions to determine their attitudes for brand loyalty. I'm going to highlight just a few here. Firstly, we asked respondents, do you always buy the same brands? 41% said yes for groceries. 40% said yes for toiletries, and only 31% for cosmetics. We asked respondents, would you buy another brand if they were on special or at a reduced price? 45% yes for groceries. 19% yes for cosmetics. If your brand is not on the shelf, would you buy another brand if it offered the same attributes or qualities as your preferred brand? 30% said yes for groceries, 22% for cosmetics, and 22% for toiletries, and 16% for cosmetics. Further, we asked, do you always go to the same supermarket? 26% said yes for groceries, and 21% said yes for toiletries. And then lastly, we inquired about online purchases. So had they ever purchased groceries online? 5% said yes, and for toiletries, 2%. Looking at clothing purchases, we asked respondents, when you buy clothing for yourself, your spouse, partner, or children, which of the following applies to you? 11 million people claimed to have bought branded clothing, where 83% buy branded clothing for themselves and 21% for their partner. 13 million said that they shop around for bargains, of which 38% do so for their children. 5 million people said that they purchase clothing online, of which 83% said that they do so for themselves and 16% said yes for their partners and children. Insight, how can you use all of this data? So I'm just going to highlight 2 sections, Stokvel, and then we're going to move on to car, automotive brands. And this will just show you a very brief highlight of how you can use all of MAPS data to break down everything that you need. So here we have Stokvel participation profile. Breaking down the demographics of Stokvel participants, we found that they are most likely to be female and single. For employment status, 28% were unemployed and 27% work full-time. Regarding education, 39% have some high school and 35% have completed a matric. Looking at car brand preference by geography, here we've ranked the market share. So first is Toyota, followed by VW, and then third is Ford. And we've displayed this on a map of South Africa, so you can see for each province the most popular vehicle. So we can see that in KZN, the most popular is a Toyota, Gauteng VW, and in Mpumalanga, it's Nissan. then took that data and broke it down via demographics such as gender. So males are most likely to, the most popular vehicle with males is Toyota, second VW, and then third is Ford. However, for females, the most popular is a VW, followed by Toyota, and then thirdly, Honda. Looking to the future. So as I mentioned at the start of the presentation, to date, MAPS has collected 6 months worth of data, consolidated it and analyzed it, and it's all available here in the presentation for you. The next step is going to be a series of webinars and tailored industry presentations. And then in May, we are going to be doing an annual review of the questionnaire. So by then we would have almost done 12 months of field work. And with that, we just are going to be tweaking the questionnaire to make sure that it is the most up-to-date and relevant. Moving forward, we're going to be providing quarterly updates in June and October of 2021. You can look forward to an annual update at the end of October once you've consolidated 12 months worth of fieldwork. In November, we're going to be releasing the tracking study, which will allow period-on-period comparisons where you can look at the data quarter by quarter. In March 2022, we'll be able to release and review a full calendar year of data where we'll be able to look at all the fieldwork and all the data gathered in 2021. Thank you so much for attending. As mentioned earlier, if you'd like to contact the MRF or find out more information about the MAPS data and how you can access it, I'm just going to leave these contact details on the slide for a few minutes, and I'll also post them in the chat feature so that you know where you can email or contact Johan and Marie. Also feel free to visit the MRF website, where we'll be uploading a copy of this presentation so you can go through it in your own time. Thank you so much. Over to you, Johan.
Thanks so much, Nicola. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for attending. As Nicola said, please keep an eye on our MRF website, mrfsa.co.za. Please feel free to send through any of your comments or questions that you might have. If you're interested in subscribing with MAPS, or you just want more information, please email us at mrf@mrf.co.za. Also, keep an eye out on our LinkedIn and Facebook profiles, where we'll be putting up regular updates and new developments. So use those to follow where we will post about upcoming events and industry-specific presentations that we'll be doing in the future. So on that note, I'd like to thank everyone involved that has made MAPS a reality. And thank you to all of the participants for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. On that note, have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of the week and the upcoming long weekend. Goodbye.